Hello everyone, welcome to Current Affair MCQs program. Let's begin with previous day's practice question. Question was, which of the following is not part of the PM E-Drive scheme? Electrifying new vehicle segments like e-ambulances and e-trucks, developing infrastructure for hydrogen fuel cell vehicles, scaling up public EV charging stations across India, or allocating funds for electric buses and two-wheelers. The correct answer is option B, developing infrastructure for hydrogen fuel cell vehicles. The PM E-Drive scheme is focused on expanding the electrification of various vehicle segments such as e-ambulances and e-trucks, developing charging infrastructure and supporting public transport like electric buses and two-wheelers. However, it does not specifically focus on hydrogen fuel cell vehicle infrastructure, which is not included in the scheme's objectives. Hence, option B is the correct answer. Now, let's begin today's episode. First question is, the World Economic Outlook is released by which of the following? International Monetary Fund, World Bank, Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, or none of the above. The correct answer is option A, International Monetary Fund, that is IMF. World Economic Outlook. The International Monetary Fund releases the World Economic Outlook. It is a survey of the world economy's prospects and policies. It is usually published twice a year with updates in between. The WEO includes analysis and projections for the near and medium term. Hence, option A is the correct answer. Next question regarding the Kala Azar, consider the following statements. 1. Kala Azar is transmitted by sandflies which spread the Leishmania donovani parasite in its visceral leishmaniasis form. 2. In India, Kala Azar is considered the second deadliest parasitic disease after malaria. 3. India aims to receive WHO certification for eliminating Kala Azar as cases have been reduced to fewer than in 10,000 people for 2 consecutive years. How many of the statements given above are correct? Only one, only two, all three, or none? The correct answer is option C, all three. Kala Azar is transmitted by sandflies which spread the Leishmania donovani parasite in its visceral leishmaniasis form. Hence, statement 1 is correct. In India, Kala Azar is considered the second deadliest parasitic disease after malaria. Hence, statement 2 is correct. India aims to receive World Health Organization certification for eliminating Kala Azar as cases have been reduced to fewer than 1 in 10,000 people for 2 consecutive years. Hence, statement 3 is correct. Hence, option C is the correct answer. Next question, consider the following statements. 1. Article 355 of the Indian Constitution mandates that the Union has a responsibility to protect states from external aggression and internal disturbances. 2. The accession of Sikkim to India in 1975 led to the inclusion of Article 371F. 3. The 6th schedule of the Constitution does not apply to the state of Tripura. How many of the statements given above are correct? Only one, only two, all three, or none? The correct answer is option B, only two. Article 355 of the Indian Constitution mandates that the Union has a responsibility to protect states from external aggression and internal disturbances. Hence, statement 1 is correct. The accession of Sikkim to India in 1975 led to the inclusion of Article 371F. Hence, statement 2 is correct. The 6th schedule was not made applicable to Tripura until 1984. The 49th Constitutional Amendment Act 1984 applied the 6th schedule's provisions to Tripura's tribal areas, granting them greater autonomy and self-governance. Hence, statement 3 is not correct. Hence, option B is the correct answer. Next question, consider the following statements regarding supply chain security strategies. 1. The just-in-time approach prioritizes high efficiency and cost savings by sourcing materials globally based on price and other key factors. 2. India's approach to supply chain security includes zero trust for critical technologies used by the military and intelligence agencies, ensuring stringent security checks. Which of the statements given above is or are not correct? 1 only, 2 only, both 1 and 2, or neither 1 nor 2? The correct answer is option D, neither 1 nor 2. That is, both the statements are correct. Supply chain security strategies. Supply chain security strategies. The just-in-time approach prioritizes maximum efficiency and cost effectiveness by sourcing globally based on price and other considerations. Hence, statement 1 is correct. While the just-in-case strategy focuses on supply chain resilience rather than cost, ensuring that companies have alternatives to avoid disruption by preparing for unforeseen circumstances, especially due to heavy reliance on single regions like China during crisis. India's strategy for secure supply chains suggests a zero-trust approach, especially for highly critical technologies linked to defense and intelligence, assuming that all technology products might be compromised. Hence, statement 2 is correct. Hence, option D is the correct answer. Next question, consider the following statements. 1. In Independent Thought versus Union of India 2017, the Supreme Court asserted the right to bodily autonomy and consent. 2. The Supreme Court has completely abolished the marital rape exception through judicial precedent. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? 1 only, 2 only, both 1 and 2, or neither 1 nor 2? The correct answer is option A, 1 only. In Independent Thought versus Union of India 2017, the Supreme Court asserted that marriage does not erase guilt in cases of non-consensual acts, emphasizing the right to bodily autonomy and consent. Hence, statement 1 is correct. The Supreme Court has not yet abolished the marital rape exception. Hence, statement 2 is not correct. The marital rape exception in section 63, exception 2 of the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita 2023 states that sexual intercourse or sexual acts by a man with his own wife, the wife not being under 18 years of age, is not rape. Hence, option A is the correct answer. Next question, consider the following statements regarding artificial neural networks. 1. Recurrent neural networks are specialized in handling grid-like data such as images. 2. Generative adversarial networks use adversarial training consisting of two networks, a generator and a discriminator. 3. Autoencoders are commonly used in supervised learning to reconstruct data from compressed inputs. How many of the statements given above are correct? Only 1, only 2, all 3, or none? The correct answer is option A, only 1. Artificial neural networks, or ANNs. Recurrent neural networks are designed for sequential or time series data, not grid-like data like images. They are often used in tasks like natural language processing or speech recognition, where the input is sequential. Hence, statement 1 is not correct. Convolutional neural networks, not RNNs, are specialized for grid-like data such as images, which allows them to excel in image recognition tasks. Generative adversarial networks, or GANs, use adversarial training where two networks, a generator and a discriminator, work against each other. Hence, statement 2 is correct. Autoencoders are used for unsupervised learning rather than supervised learning. They take input data, compress it to keep essential features, and then attempt to reconstruct the original data from this compressed version. Hence, statement 3 is not correct. Hence, option A is the correct answer. Next question, consider the following statements regarding the illegal tobacco market. 1. The Prohibition of Electronic Cigarettes Act, or PECA 2019, enforces a nationwide ban on all forms of tobacco and liquor. 2. India's economic burden from tobacco-related diseases and illicit markets is estimated at nearly 1% of the GDP. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? 1 only, 2 only, both 1 and 2, or neither 1 nor 2? The correct answer is option B, 2 only. Illegal tobacco market. Prohibition of Electronic Cigarettes Act 2019 aims to protect public health, prevent initiation, and support tobacco control efforts. Hence, statement 1 is not correct. Despite the enactment of the Prohibition of Electronic Cigarettes Act in 2019, which banned the manufacturing, sale, and distribution of e-cigarettes in India, illegal sales persist across the country. Tobacco-related illnesses in India contribute to a substantial economic burden. According to reports, the economic impact of tobacco use, which includes healthcare cost and productivity losses due to premature death, is estimated at nearly 1% of India's GDP. Hence, statement 2 is correct. Hence, option B is the correct answer. Next question, consider the following statements regarding recent trends and challenges in India's economic development. One of India's core economic challenges is the failure to generate sufficient new good jobs despite efforts through skilling and foreign investment in manufacturing. Two, in India, much of the growth in firm size is from adding more small plants rather than expanding individual plant sizes, which limits productivity gains. Two, the garment sector in Bangladesh has a higher proportion of large manufacturing plants compared to India, which affects competitiveness and employment levels. How many of the above statements are correct? Only one, only two, all three, or none? The correct answer is option C, all three. Challenges in India's economic development. Despite initiatives like skilling programs and foreign investments, India's economy struggles with creating a sufficient number of good jobs, especially in manufacturing, which is critical for economic growth. Hence, statement 1 is correct. There is a misleading perception that Indian firms achieve economies of scale through larger plants. However, much of the growth in firm size is from adding more small plants rather than expanding individual plant sizes, which limits productivity gains. Hence, statement 2 is correct. Bangladesh garment sector has a higher proportion of large-scale plants with 40% of employment in facilities with over 1,000 workers compared to only around 10% in India. Hence, statement 3 is correct. Hence, option C is the correct answer. Next question regarding the United Nations Charter. Consider the following statements. 1. The Charter of the United Nations serves as an instrument of international law and UN member states are bound by it. 2. It outlines key principles of international relations, including the equal rights of all countries and the ban on using force between nations. 3. Since its inception, it has never been amended. How many of the statements given above are correct? Only one, only two, all three, or none? The correct answer is option B, only two. United Nations Charter. The Charter of the United Nations serves as the foundational document of the UN. It is an instrument of international law and UN member states are bound by it. Hence, statement 1 is correct. It outlines key principles of international relations, including the equal rights of all the countries and the ban on using force between nations. Hence, statement 2 is correct. It has been amended 3 times since its incorporation in 1963, 1965 and 1973. Hence, statement 3 is not correct. Hence, option B is the correct answer. Last question. Consider the following statements about Environmental Ship Index. 1. It identifies seagoing ships that perform better in reducing air emissions than the current International Maritime Organization emission standards. 2. Mormugao Port Authority, Goa became the first Indian port to be listed on the ESI portal. How many of the statements given above are correct? 1, only 2, only both 1 and 2, or neither 1 nor 2? The correct answer is option C, both 1 and 2. Environmental Ship Index is a system designed to evaluate and reward ships for their environmental performance. ESI identifies seagoing ships that perform better in reducing air emissions than the current International Maritime Organization emission standards. Hence, statement 1 is correct. The 2023 IMO Greenhouse Gas Strategy envisages a reduction in the carbon intensity of international shipping by at least 40% by 2030. Mormugao Port Authority, Goa became the first Indian port to be listed on the ESI portal for MPA's Harit Shray program. Hence, statement 2 is correct. It was acknowledged by the International Association of Ports and Harbours. In another development, the government plans to limit the development of inland waterway terminals near major ports to safeguard their economic interest. Hence, option C is the correct answer. Now moving on to practice question. Consider the following statements about Rights of Persons with Disabilities Amendment Rules 2024. 1. Disability certificates can be issued by any registered medical practitioner at the state level. 2. Color-coded UDID cards introduced under the new rules indicate different disability levels, with blue representing a disability level of 80% or higher. 3. Applications for disability certificates can be submitted both online and offline as per the applicant's convenience. 4. The processing time for issuing disability certificates has been extended to 3 months. Which of the statements given above are correct? 1 and 3 only, 2 and 4 only, 2, 3 and 4 only, or 1, 2 and 4 only? Send the answer of this question in the comment section. Thanks for watching. For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.